Welcome everyone to the first, well not the first, our second virtual DAC-WA forum presented by the Here and Now Project. For those of you who may not know, our mission is to connect and empower the paralysis community in the Pacific Northwest, and due to the COVID pandemic, we have pivoted our programming to the virtual space. All of our support meetings are online now, as well as digital or virtual forums like this, and even our other activities like last week's 5K for today. We're just trying to do our best to keep you guys connected socially while staying distanced physically. And before we kick it off officially, I just want to thank our gold sponsors, Kersey Mobility and National Seating and Mobility, as well as the DAC-WA committee themselves.
Mike.
Ooh, looks like Elaine was cutting out a little bit. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, just really grateful for the opportunity just to bring everybody together on the virtual space. And the DAC-WA committee's worked really hard to put this thing together for you. So I will step away and let Elaine be our MC for the event. Yeah, just looking forward to it. Go ahead, Elaine.
Hey, thanks, Katie. And thank you everyone for being here tonight. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Just to talk a little bit about our schedule tonight, we're going to see some different videos from different people. We're going to start out with Kersey Mobility, and Mike has a couple of, Mike Jensen has a couple of people with him that we'll hear from, and we'll see some videos from Kersey. And then we're going to see some videos and pictures from some different people, different wheelchair users, different vehicles. And if you are able to join us tonight, the people who did present the videos, I would like to ask you a few questions. Tell us how long you've been driving, tell us about your vehicle and why you got it, and explain your vehicle modification or modifications. So, and I'm one of the people that's going to be sharing a video. So, I'm not sure if you guys saw the kind of the housekeeping of keeping your videos off and your microphones off, your sound off, just to save on bandwidth. That would be great. We appreciate that. And I want to give a special thank you to Rob Wood for, he really put this all together. We're so lucky to have someone who's getting their bachelor's degree in IT, because he personally coded all of this. I would just like drop and add things. He coded this all in. And so it's amazing, you know, that he did all this. And so, yay, thank you, Rob. Appreciate you doing everything. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'd like to introduce Mike Jensen from Kersey Mobility. And he's also going to have Al Diego and Steve Rowan. And go ahead and take it, Mike.
All right, thanks, Elaine. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. So thank you again for the opportunity. We're very proud to be a sponsor with the Here and Now Project and Kenny and everybody else that's involved. We really see this as a community, and how can we be part of the team going through these journeys of life's challenges? How can we be part of that team that you can count on that can make your life better? You know, I had a daughter with a brain condition a long time ago. My dad was in a wheelchair for several years. We have lots of friends who've gone through challenges, and it's, boy, you need someone to be on your side, you know, to be somebody that you can count on that's going to help you. And Kersey Mobility is all about taking care of the customer. 38 years in business. Ruth Rabdow is on the line, I think, as well. She's our regional director in Sumner. We have Steve Rowan, the general manager of the Sumner store as well, 25 plus years, incredible experience. And Al Axon is the general manager of our two North stores, Redmond and also Everett. So a few years ago, I was with VMI for a long time, and there was a big gap in the Northwest market to have more options for customers. You know, it's like going, you want Coke or Pepsi? Do you want to have options and choices and variety? And I know me as a consumer for other products, I love that. You know, it's great to have competition. It's great to have choices. It's nice to have variety. So I left VMI and we went to open up our second store for Kersey Mobility in Redmond. And it's been a phenomenal success. The great Kersey name and brand just a lot closer to a lot of people. And then we're fortunate, about a year and a half ago, we acquired the Access Mobility Systems company in Everett. And now we have 3 great Kersey stores to better serve. People don't know that Kersey has 3 stores. They may know we have 1 store, maybe 2, but not 3. And what does Kersey do? What are we all about? And how can we, the biggest question is, how can we help you and help your friends? And so we're going to give you a little sneak peek at what Kersey's all about, quick tour of our 3 stores. And then we're going to be here on the available today and, of course, after, to see if there's anything that we can do to help you, that we're here to do that. And that's the big takeaway is you got somebody on your side that's here to help you, and that's us. So we can answer more questions later. There's the big picture. And we did a little video of our 3 stores. So what would it be like if you actually did go to Kersey, Redmond, or Everett, or Sumner? What would that be like? So I thought we'd do a little video and show you what it would be like if you did come and say hi to us. So go ahead and roll the video, Elaine.
Hey, it's Mike Jensen. We're at Kersey Mobility here today. We have 3 locations, Everett, Redmond, and our headquarters here in Sumner. We're gonna give you a 2-minute video of Kersey Mobility, Sumner location. Here we go. We are about a block off from Main Street. We're also right next door to the YMCA. This is our accounting building. We have a nice accounting staff works out of there. We have multiple service bays. We can work on up to 12 vehicles at once. Lots of great technicians in there. We offer multiple different vehicles, multiple variety of manufacturers. There's not a mobility product made that we can't get for you. So if you're happy to be one of our trucks, we do sell more vehicles, more vans, but we do a huge variety. So new, used, no matter what, all the locations do the same thing. Here we have Steve Rowan, the general manager of our Sumner store. Steve Rowan has been with Kersey for 25 years. He's the expert in mobility. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, welcome y'all to the Sumner flagship store. All right, so over here on the right side, when all of our clients enter, we have Tanya over here in the receptionist area. Right, come on this way. Inside here, we have Caitlin. She's our rental coordinator, service. We do rent vans at all 3 locations, Sumner, Redmond, and Everett. We do have ADA compliance bathrooms. The left side over here, we have a variety of displays to show our clients hand controls, external lifts. We have 6-way transfer seat bases. We have vans, always have a couple inside the building for climate change. This is the VMI North Star in-floor conversion. Toyota, great vehicle. Inside here we have our conference room. Conference room we use for our employees, and we do outsource it for other entities. Over here is a 2020 Honda Braun in-floor conversion. Great vehicle. We do supply Braun and VMI conversion vans, and we do work on all conversion vans, take care of our customers. Inside here we have a smaller conference room. This is where we do our vehicle signing, and we also allow clients to use it if they want to have some silence. Inside here is another sales room in here. Inside there, outside here, we have a covered area in case the rain comes. We have a variety of vehicles here to show. We always have the ramps out for display. Over this way, we have our main shop. All of our hard work gets done here. We have a combined 100 years of technical service out here. Each technician out there has approximately 10 years of knowledge. I do thank you for coming in. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Jensen. We're at Kersey Mobility Redmond today. We are conveniently located 5 minutes from downtown town center. We're also 1 block off of Willows Road, so very easy to get to. Lots of vehicles here. We have about 20 to 22 in stock at all times. New vehicles, used vehicles. Of course, we have 3 locations. Redmond is definitely very convenient for a lot of our clientele. Let's go meet Al, the general manager of both Everett and Redmond. How you doing, Al?
Good. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Welcome, guys. We're here at Kersey Mobility here in Redmond. We'll do a quick tour of our facility. As you walk through here, one of our vans here that you can touch, feel, go through. Here's our waiting area. Very, very comfortable couches, very inviting. We have a large 60-inch screen TV that has cable. You can use different adaptive equipment, from storage lifts to transfer seats to the newest and greatest technology in terms of hand controls. Offices back here. We have our mobility specialist Alex back there, who's working very hard. Conference room that any of our customers can use. If they want to have some privacy, we also use that as people when they sign their documents for when they pick up their van. Walk through this area here. More hand controls, more spinner knobs, large stowage lift. We also have a large platform lift. As we walk through the service area now, which is a full service area. We are dealers for both Braun and VMI. We can work on both conversions. We can also work in any other conversions too. Enough for 4 vehicles in the service bay that we can work on at the same time. Okay guys, let's walk through here. So kind of our kitchenette area. ADA compliant restrooms. Like I said, once again, very comforting, very homey. You can also use the microwave here, or coffee. We have little snacks. And as we walk through the front area again, when we first came in, this is the check-in area. Most people sign their paperwork. Just want to say thank you guys for coming here to Kersey Mobility here in Redmond. And we look forward to serving you in any way we can with your mobility needs. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, we are now at Kersey Mobility in Everett. We are very conveniently located right off I-5, about 2 minutes. We are off of Evergreen Way, right adjacent to Chevy. Right across the street we got the used Toyota dealership. The 30 vans in stock usually here. Let's go see what it's like if you were to come visit us at Kersey Mobility in Everett. Again, we have 3 stores, Everett, Redmond, and Sumner. Let's also say hi to Al.
Hey! How you doing everybody? Glad you can make it here. I'll give you a quick tour of our Everett facility. We usually have a couple of vans in here and we do product demonstrations here. We do needs analysis. As we walk in this area, this is kind of our sitting area for customers when they come in and are getting service work done. They have very comfortable chairs. Our check-in area where they sign all their paperwork before we start working on their vehicle. We have some back offices back there for staff. We have a comfortable waiting area here if someone wants to get some work done. Any customers or driver evaluators can use this desk. Over here we have our ADA compliant restrooms. As you walk through here, we usually have a couple of vans like I said earlier, but we sold one of them already. A bunch of the different adaptive equipment that we have, different hand controls, spinner knobs, transfer seats, stowage lifts. You can actually come in here, touch it, feel it. Little product video area where you can actually see some of our products. You can also see some of our inventory from the different locations that we show there. Down there is one of our mobility consultants. He's actually always on the phone helping one of our customers. We had a platform lift up there that we just sold, usually up there. And we will cut off and go down to the service area. Okay guys, welcome to our service area over here in Everett. It's about a 4,500 square foot facility. We can service about 7 to 8 vehicles at a time. All our technicians here are QAP NAMITA certified, which is a very high standard in this industry. And even if you don't buy a vehicle from us, we will service it. But we are an authorized dealer for Braun and VMI, but we'll work on any type of vehicle, it doesn't matter what it is. So bring it on into us, and thanks for taking the tour of our Everett facility.
Well, thanks everybody for being part of our roadshow today. You've seen our Sumner store, 38 years in business. You've seen our Redmond store, and now here's our Everett store. So hope you get the idea that wherever you go, you're gonna be in great hands. We'll take very good care of you. We have lots of vehicles to help you with, rentals, new vehicles, used vehicles. Every product you can imagine out there that is offered in this industry, we have access to. So you're always gonna get have the opportunity to purchase the best product for your specific needs. Of course, you guys are all factory trained for the technicians, the sales guys, so you're gonna be in great hands. So thank you for attending our tour today. Look forward to seeing you at one of our facilities sometime soon.
All right, well, that was great. Thanks, you guys. We really appreciated hearing about all three of your locations. Our next video, we're going to have two videos actually. One that's going to talk about tie downs for the different systems, and then another one that will talk about hand controls. So, and I'm sure Steve and Al and Mike, if you have any questions, they'll be happy to answer them. So we'll go ahead and run the video on tie downs.
Hey, Mike Jensen here at Kersey Mobility again, and we got the question on lockdowns. Which is the best one for me? So every vehicle you buy, whether it's a VMI, a Braun, or any other brand, you have to have some securement to the floor, obviously for your wheelchair. So this is a manual one. Basically, it's just straps. In essence, it goes into the floor, and then basically you're gonna take this and you're gonna hook it on, and you're gonna pull it as tight as you can, and then you're gonna pull it down. So imagine that's in the floor on the chair, and you gotta pull it, okay? All physical, bending over. Again, it's part of the package. It's already included, but most of our customers prefer a better way, an easier way. So here's the two other options for you. This is called retractable. Same, design here. You push the button, it comes out with the seatbelt. You connect it to your chair, okay? You let go of it, and it just basically self ratchets. These come in a set of 4, and when you're done, you push the button, off you go. So real simple, again, very easy to use. But there is one way to do it even a little bit easier. So they have one that's called a power lockdown. And there's 2 brands. There's the Q-Strength QLK150, which is we recommend. There's also one called Easy Lock, another good brand. This one's a little bit different. But one of the big benefits about this one is it has an optional remote control. Okay, and that's very unique to it. So if somebody, for example, you had a rear entry vehicle and were to take somebody out from the rear, you can hold this in your hand, hit the button, and then pull somebody out, okay? So just a little bit different. Or if you had somebody, we had one of our customers with Parkinson's, it was just harder to actually reach the button. So for him, it was easier to put this on his keychain. He could just hit it himself. So really cool feature here. Not much more than the basic price, but a great little extra add-on. So what does the Power One do? So you'll see these, they can be mounted in the middle of a vehicle, the front driver, front passenger. If you're gonna be an independent driver, you're gonna almost always have one of these, because if you're driving from your power chair or manual chair, you're just gonna be for a power chair. But what it does is you're gonna take this bolt, and this gets mounted to the bottom of a wheelchair, okay? So imagine it's almost always a power chair, but it could be a manual one. So it gets mounted to the bottom of that chair. So then when you drive over this, it will go in. So imagine you're in a wheelchair driving over it. It's gonna go in and catch it, okay? And that is secured to the floor, okay? And when you go out, there's gonna be a button here. You push the button, it pops it, it releases it, and it comes right out, okay? You also have a manual backup to it as well. So this is a manual one right here. But let's say you were a driver. How are you gonna access the manual backup to it? So they have a little handle right here. And this can be installed close to where it's in arm's reach, okay? This can be installed pretty easy as well, so it gives you that backup as well. Do you have to have it? No, but is it nice to have the option? Sure. So one negative of the power lockdown is you will lose a little bit of ground clearance on your wheelchair. So if you have a threshold where it's gonna be, some very severe one where it's gonna be hard to go over that threshold, this may not be the best solution for you. There is another one called the High Tower. It's actually a side-mounted power lockdown. It's been out for almost 3 years now. I think we've sold 1 or 2 of those. Great option for somebody who wants to have the maximum ground clearance, but has enough room on their chair. It loses about 1.25 inches of room, but not much. So that could be a good option for you as well. So the power ones are very easy. Again, they cost a little bit more. These are about $3,000 installed. This is looking at probably another several $100 for this upgrade, or just stick with your manual strap. So which is the best one for you? Talk to your mobility consultant. They'll go over your needs, figure out which one is the best, and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks, have a great day. Hey, it's Mike Jensen here at Kersey Mobility, and people ask us about hand controls. We sell lots of hand controls. What's different about hand controls? Well, let's just show you a couple different options. You have quite a few options to look at. This right here is a trigger grip, and this is called a push rock. See that motion? They're always going to be push for brake, and then the actual gas is going to be what's different. This is a rocking motion, so they call it a push rock. This one's going to be more your push right angle. You have a little motorcycle style, okay, and push pull. So this also, if you can see here, they can put secondary options too. So you can get your blinkers actually put on to the hand control as well. This is a spinner knob, which happens to be, also has some buttons to it as well. So some people that have maybe a little less dexterity, they can actually control a lot of their wipers, horn, those kind of things with their fingers as well here. Then we got over here, your floor mounted ones. This is by Weigel. And this is, instead of being mounted to the column, it's actually mounted to the floor or the bottom of the vehicle. And this one, you push it again for brake, okay, and pull it for gas. This has got more of this style to it. You push it, you can push the button here, it'll hold it as well for your brake. You tap it, it releases it. So there's that one. And same also by Weigel is this one with a little different twist to it too. So you prefer this motion versus the front and back, we have options for you. These also is called a commander switch too. You can also have your secondary switches right here, easy to access from your fingers too. Again, same thing, you push it, it'll hold it for your brake lock too. And that brake lock now is available on the sure grip on the actual column mounts too. So this is actually a mechanical one. Your basic spinner knob with nothing tied to it. We sell lots and lots of those. It's easier to drive. There's a little brake guard too, if you want to have a little guard, protect your gas or your brake. We do lots of guards. We also do electronic left foot gas, which has also been very popular too. So if you have an issue with your feet on your right side, but your left side is available, those are popular as well. This one now, you can see this has got a brake lock on a column mount. So you can actually push it, hit the brake lock, and it'll hold it in place. And then you tap it again, releases it. And that just came out about a year ago from Sure Grip too. Very cool. Helps with fatigue for longer drives. Just makes it a little easier. You can actually stop your car at a light, hit the gas or hit the brake, stop it, do something, touch it again. So cool new technology. Again, there's lots of options. Those are some of our more popular ones. We do every brand out there. If it's Guido Simplex, if it's Weigel, MPS, MPD, Sure Grip, we have access to all of them. We certainly sell more of certain brands because they have very great support behind them, better technology. But again, we even do used ones too. So if you have a specific price point or you want the very best there is, we can get anything you need. So we work very closely with our local driver evaluators to be sure that they fit you, so you're getting the right vehicle as well as the right hand control from us. All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Mike. That was really interesting. Boy, they've come a long way since I've been in a wheelchair since 1982, and some of you are going to say that's before you were born, which, yeah, I don't want to hear that. So, does anybody have any questions for Mike or Al or Steve? You can also write them in the chat box too.
This is Balin. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Balin.
Hi. I do. I mean, I don't know if this is who I should direct them to, but I am, in fact, I'm just starting with the whole, sorry, it's really bright here. I'm just starting with the whole car business. I had my spinal cord injury like 3 years ago, 3+, and I haven't had a car since. I haven't driven. So how do I know what's required for me based on my disability? And is that assessed at the dealership, or is that something that I have to get assessed through the state? Or is that done through the needs analysis? I'm not sure how you know what you need. That's my question, my first question.
Mike, will you be able to answer that?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Al and Steve now, since they're going to give me the local contacts that you work with. So Al or Steve, you guys want to answer that question, please?
Do you want me to take that? This
Sure.
is Ruth, since I don't think Al and Steve have audio. So there are a few different avenues to figuring out what you need. Typically, folks will work with a driver evaluator. There are several in the area that can assess your needs, help you get trained on the equipment. Our mobility folks can give you a few references. You also can, if you're a user of equipment and you've had a change in medical status, but you think that you would like to, that you're proficient in the equipment you have, the state can test you for proficiency, and they will just put a designation on your driver's license. So there's a few different avenues to getting that. It's almost like a prescription. You'll work with someone to get an evaluation. Or your doctor can assist with a script. There's again several different avenues. Some driving schools have the ability to help folks. Lots of different avenues to get that situated.
So how do you find a driver evaluator? Is it a legal status driver evaluator that the state recognizes?
We are going to have a driving evaluator speak next.
Yeah, actually, she can answer that. That's perfect.
Yeah. And Ruth, I'm sorry I didn't introduce you. This is Ruth from Kersey Mobility, and she's amazing, and she's helped me before. And so what another great resource to have on this call. Thank you for being here, Ruth.
Thanks, Elaine.
We still have to have lunch one of these days. All right. Well, I'm going to now introduce you to Jennifer Fox. And Balin, yeah, if you can just go ahead and mute and take off your video.
Actually, why don't I, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was just going to say, why don't I just do kind of my presentation, and then I'm sure that'll answer a lot of her questions, but then, you know, we can elaborate more afterwards.
Okay. Thank you for being here, Jennifer.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm going to share my screen because it's going to help me focus what I'm saying, and I think it'll maybe make things a little easier for you guys to follow. Can you guys see that? See my credentials? Okay, so yeah, my name's Jennifer Fox, and I am a physical therapist as well as a driving rehab specialist. I've been in the Puget Sound area my whole life, and I have worked for over 27 years as a physical therapist specializing in neuro rehab. I've worked in a variety of inpatient rehab and a community-based rehab program. I've worked a lot with traumatic injuries, specifically spinal cord injuries and brain injuries, but also have a lot of experience with neurodegenerative diseases like ALS and multiple sclerosis and those types of things. So let me talk about the comprehensive driving evaluations that I perform. So this is something that I think the comprehensive driving evaluation are for individuals that know how to drive, but because of their disability, aren't able to drive anymore. So, they basically have the skills of driving pre-injury, or pre-disease process, but now need to be assessed to be able to drive in their current situation with their current disability. And the driving evaluation includes an off-road clinical component as well as an on-road component. And the off-road component, I look at the individual's medical history, and then in the office, I look at the client's physical status or physical presentation. I do a basic vision screen and look at adaptive equipment needs, if that's appropriate for the client. Trial different equipment to see which is going to work best for the client. And then the training is done initially on a closed course setting, and then we move to the open road and eventually the highways. And then after that, I do a pretty thorough write-up that includes a summary of all the testing and driving that was done, recommendations for how to be a safe driver, and how to actually get your license. And then what we call the vehicle modification prescription. And this is what this prescription details the specific equipment that you may need, if you do need adaptive equipment, and that's what the mobility dealer will need in order to install the equipment. All right, and then I just did want to clarify that in order to prescribe adaptive equipment, the individual needs to demonstrate competency using that equipment in a variety of scenarios, goals, but typically it's in residential, city, and highway settings. I just say that because sometimes people don't understand why they just can't go into the dealership and get the equipment installed, or just come see me and not really go through the training. But it is really important that somebody be able to use the equipment safely on the road before it's actually installed. And then I also do what's called an adaptive equipment skills verification. And this is kind of just like a mini eval. It usually takes 45 minutes to an hour. And basically what it is just verifying that an individual, I should say that this is done for individuals that are already driving with adaptive equipment. So, and there's several different situations why someone might need this. Like if somebody has a progressive disease and they need kind of a reeval to see if their current equipment is still safe for them to use, or maybe they just need an additional modification or a piece of equipment that would make their driving more safe. It's also done if, let's say someone's driving with hand controls, but maybe they want to explore a different style hand control, something a little different. Or if an individual that maybe doesn't have the correct documentation and wants to install new equipment in a different vehicle, then they might need the skills verification eval. So anyway, that's kind of my summary, but certainly open to questions. And I'm trying to remember that gal's name with the B, but I'm happy to clarify anything if she has specific questions for me.
Sorry about that. I was muted by the host.
Oh.
So yeah, thank you, Jennifer. That was really great.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. So if you could please type your questions in the chat box, we will make sure that Jennifer gets those let me see if I can.
Is it Brittany? Is that the gal that had the question earlier?
It was actually Balin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who had the question before. And so, go ahead. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh yeah, Balin. Okay, Balin said so, and it's required for a new driver. I mean, it's somebody that's driving with equipment that, you know, because of their disability. So you need to have an evaluation by a driving rehab specialist. If you didn't need equipment, like Ruth said earlier, you could go to the state and get a test done there. But in order to get the equipment installed, you need to see a driver's rehab specialist. You didn't get that vehicle modification prescription. Does that make sense? If you have documentation from another state, can you bring your previous equipment and they will install it with signing paperwork? Oh, if you have, I guess I'm not 100% sure, but I can let Kersey talk more about that. But typically, if you have a driving evaluation from somewhere else that specifies your equipment needs, and you're getting those same equipment installed, that should be sufficient. In terms of the evaluation, it really breaks down to $200 an hour. So the comprehensive evaluation is 2 to 3 hours, and the kind of the mini one, if you already are driving with adaptive equipment but need kind of verification of your skills, that is just going to be an hour, so that would be 200. Sorry guys, but it really depends on your diagnosis. Usually if somebody has a progressive disease or a progressive condition, then when I do the evaluation, I make a specific recommendation about when reevaluation should occur. And often that's in collaboration with the individual's physician, if there's been any significant changes. Kersey, do you guys have any time limits on your eval? Like if somebody brought an eval in that was a while ago or anything like that?
Ruth, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we would, so there were a couple questions. From another state, you would be fine with documentation from another state as long as you have well, we'd have to talk about the why you were in for our service, but typically you would be here, and we'd just need to see your Washington state license. And then the other question was, I'm sorry, refresh my memory. What was the other question where someone was asking?
Like how long, like if somebody had a evaluation 10 years ago.
Yeah, as long as they have.
Maybe they didn't have a progressive disease.
Yeah, as long as they have a valid driver's license and have that, and we're installing the same equipment, there's not an expiration date as far as we're concerned.
I would just say to the group, we want to make this as easy as possible, but also safe, right? Safe for you and safe for other people. And
yes.
we do have clients, quite a bit of time, unfortunately, they have progressed where their needs have changed. And my dad personally, the last time he drove a car, he drove it across a 2-lane highway, Highway 9, through a parking lot, someone's backyard, and sandwiched it between 2 trees. And because my dad didn't want to stop driving. And so we really encourage everybody to be safe, right? So if it means going through an extra hour of confirmation training, then we're going to talk to that customer and see what makes sense. If you've been driving for 20 years with a push right angle, MPS hand control, and we install it for you, we're not going to make you jump through hoops that aren't necessary. So
exactly.
Talk to our stores. Let's make it easy on you, but let's also make it safe.
I think there was a question if I have a vehicle. Yes, I have a Toyota Camry that has several different hand control options. I have column-mounted sure grip hand controls that are the push rock and push right angle that Mike showed you earlier. I also have the right floor mount Weigel hand controls, a couple different styles, and then a number of different steering devices that have secondary control access for blinkers and wipers and that sort of thing. I also have a left foot pedal accelerator. So I feel very fortunate to have the vehicle that I'm driving now. Kersey helped set that up for me. So it's been nice to be able to offer people a variety of different equipment that, because people need different things and have different preferences and that sort of thing.
This is great information, Jennifer. Thank you so much for answering the questions. We're going to keep accepting questions in the chat box, if that's okay. And will you be on for the whole call?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I should say too that I know, are most of your members in the South Sound?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, because I noticed it was kind of a South Sound organization. So I am located in the North. I'm in Everett, and the company I currently work for is in Edmonds. But I do perform evaluations at the Kersey dealerships. So I am able to meet people either in Sumner or Redmond or Everett to do the evaluations.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
So, and I also can come to people's homes as well.
Oh, good. That's really good to know. Mm-hmm. So keep writing your questions in the chat box, everyone. And Mike, I appreciated what you said too about, having people, learn how to do this in a proper way. And do not let your able-bodied friends play with your hand controls. Oh my gosh. It's the able-bodied people that crash. Yes. Because if they get confused about using their feet and their hands at the same time, which you can still do, and you'll crash the vehicle every time. That's why a lot of places won't valet park wheelchair vans, because they've crashed them before. I know hospitals. I heard about a guy, running over his coworker at Jiffy Lube and breaking every bone in his body. So yeah. Encourage people not to play with the hand controls. So just a little word of caution there. So so thank you again. We're going to go ahead and get going, and we're going to show the first video of Kenny Salvini and his vehicle.
Hey guys, it's Kenny. Here to give you guys kind of the tour of the Do Life Mobile. This is my van. It's a 2016 Toyota Siena with a VMI North Star conversion. I'll have Amanda open up the ramp so you can see how it works. There's two different styles of ramps. You can get a fold out or an in-floor. I got an in-floor. I personally like this one better. And if you look closely, you can see the whole back end of the van starting to lower right now. That's called a kneel feature, which is really handy for folks in manual chairs if they want to kind of make the slope of the ramp a little bit less steep. And yeah, now I'll show you how we get in and get locked in. So now getting in, one of the things you want to check when you're looking at a van like this is the clearance height when you're driving in. I had a Honda Odyssey that was way low, and I'd have to duck every time I came in. And you can see with the Toyotas, they've got a lot of good clearance when you get in. So there's a lot of space to kind of get in, turn around, and I've got a lock-in up here that we'll show you a little bit more detail of. So this system is probably the easiest way I've found to lock in to a vehicle. It's the Q-Strength lock-in mechanism. So what they do is they actually mount a bolt underneath the base of your wheelchair, and you've got this lock-in box that's actually mounted to the floor of the van. So all I've got to do is line up the pin with the slot, and I'm locked in and ready to go. Now all I need is to be buckled in, and we're ready to roll. All right, so as you can see, we've got a seat belt that's mounted to the track that's built into the floor. All we got to do is buckle me in. We're ready to rock. All right, now when it's time to get out, all we've got to do is unbuckle. I kind of go around my drive screen here. There's two different ways to unlock the lock-in. There's a red button right here that we can click, and that will release me and get me out. There's also a release on the driver's side where there's just a little button that they mount somewhere kind of on the dashboard. So Claire can hit that. That releases me. And I'm back out. If you don't have a lock-in, you can use these fancy Q-Strength retractable tie downs. You just push down on the red lever and the hook comes up. You attach it right down to the tie down point on your chair. So you can do just like that, and if you turn the little triangle dial right there in the bottom, it'll tighten up a little bit. There you go. And then we can hook up the other side. Perfect. When it comes time to strap yourself into the back, you may need some extension straps, just like these ones that they give to you. They just loop through your tie-down loop, and then you can use your retractable strap to connect to that. Then to release the straps, you just pull the red tab down, pull the hook, they just retract back into themselves. One last thing I didn't think about when I was getting my first van was trunk space. So we'll open up the back of the Toyota and I'll show you what we got inside. As you can see, this Toyota Siena's got a lot of space in the trunk. We actually can fit two different ramps in the back. We've got a folding 6-foot ramp in the middle, and then off to the side we've bungeed in a shorter ramp to get up a single step. One note, if you are traveling with one of these folding ramps, you may want to put a pool noodle or a blanket or something underneath them because they can get pretty rattly. And that's my Toyota Siena.
All right, thank you, Kenny. That was great. You did a really nice job on your video. And Steve from Kersey has, oh, and also Greg too, people have been writing comments about different features in there. So make sure that you have your chat feature on so you can see the different comments, because people are writing in some good stuff. So the next video will be Marty Wittman. And Marty I've known also since 1982. And Marty, if you could just tell us how long you've been driving, about your vehicle, why you got it, and a bit about your vehicle modifications.
I've been driving since I've been 16 in a wheelchair, which is about 38 years. And I got this vehicle, the truck, the all-terrain conversion, because it was that time in my life where I wanted to minimize my transferring and maximize my longevity, which the truck allows me to do that. Not only that, it's a pretty cool vehicle to drive.
I'll take any other questions, I guess, after you see the video, and we'll go from there.
Watch this, okay?
Doesn't Marty have a cool vehicle? You don't see a whole lot of trucks out there. So it was really fun to see somebody with a completely different type of a vehicle. So yeah, that is awesome. You're right, Brittany. So please type in the chat box if you have any other questions for Marty. I know he'd be glad to answer them. Okay. Yep, there's people answering or asking questions right now, Marty. So take a look at those. Yeah, Brittany says it's like a transformer, which it is. Yeah. So Marty's a superhero for sure. Okay, the next vehicle is mine, and it's a 2014 Toyota Siena, and I'm very lucky to have it. It's a great vehicle. And I have an in-floor ramp. I've been driving, well, since I was 16, but my accident is when I was 17 in 1982. And I just totally told you my age, which I didn't mean to. Now I'm 55. I admit that. And I never wanted to have a wheelchair van, because I thought they were a stereotype for people in wheelchairs, which now I think is really dumb, because after I had my son, trying to transport a baby in a car and, you know, putting in a chair and a baby seat and groceries, and I about lost my mind. And so I got my first wheelchair van when he was a baby. He's 21 now. And yeah, so the first time we could go to 2 places in one day, I almost cried because it was so much easier. And, you know, I don't know why I felt I was, you know, I think when I was injured, it was those big, huge Chevy vans with the big, loud lifts. And, yeah, Steve was there. Yeah. He was at Kersey at the time, but it was these big, ugly Chevy vans with murals painted on the side and a big, loud lift that everyone had to stop and stare at you every time you used. And so that's the stereotype I had in my mind. And so now with the minivans, you know, just they're so much different. So I wasn't sure about the in-floor ramp, because sometimes it can have like a little speed bump at the top, which I think I kind of explained in the video. And yeah, that is me in the video, even though I'm not wearing purple, which I know people are surprised at. So we can go ahead and run the video. Yep. So there's a remote on my keychain that I just pressed open. I was really worried about having this type of VMI ramp because a lot of people with manual chairs, you can see there's a lip at the top there, but I have power assist wheels, so they help me, like one push is like 5, so I can push it up and get over that.
I found a random pen. Look what I did.
And then you can see my seat comes all the way back, and it also swivels. And I put a Rojo here, so it can help keep me from getting pressure sores. That's it. Yep, that's it. Now you know why people make people stand on step ladders to take my picture. So, yeah. Anyway, Steve wants to explain why you have magic wheels to help you up the ramp. Well, I have the power assist because 38 years in a wheelchair has really taken its toll on my neck and shoulders, and power assist wheels have helped me a lot. They're expensive. I had to have a prescription, had to have justification. I had to have an eval for them at with a physical therapist, but they've really helped me, you know, with my neck and shoulder pain. So they were definitely worth it. So people are different. I know Roland had talked about, he wished they had, you know, power assist, you know, back in the day when, you know, he was first in a chair because he might not have gone right into a power chair. So, yeah, they've helped me a lot. So that's a good thing about Kersey, or, you know, you need to go try these and make sure that you can get a chair up in, you know, if you get an in-floor ramp or a fold-up ramp. So you need to try it out and make sure that it works for you. I know power chairs have no problem at all. So next we're going to go and we're going to talk to Rob or see his video. I'm not sure if he wants to talk or not. So go ahead, Rob. He drives a car and he's going to show you how he transfers.
So, hi. Kind of like Elaine was saying about the vans. Actually, I started with a van because my youngest was 10 months old, but once he got big enough, I went to a car because, well, I wanted to be able to do things. And I actually found this car used with hand controls in it already, and from someone else with a T7 injury like myself. So I tried it, and I will just show you the video and go from there. That's how I do it.
Yay!
So the nice thing for this with me is I had a full-size van before, Chevy Express or something, one of the full-size ones, and with the lift on it, I actually took longer to get in and out of my car or my van than I do this. And this vehicle had the same hand controls in it. I'm not sure the type, but they're the pull down for gas and push in for brake, and it works great. And anybody could drive my car, and I don't really have any problems. The only thing that, other than the hand controls that was modified on it, was the grab handle right at the A-pillar of the front top there. And then there's one on the passenger side also. Other than that, it's been great for me, and I'll stick to cars until I can't get in and out again. And that's about it. If anybody has any questions, just let me know.
Thanks, Rob. It's really good to see somebody transfer into a car too. I did it for a long time. I think I shared with the group before that I was at my parents' house and no one was home, and I was pulling my chair in the car and lost grip, and it wheeled across the driveway. And I waited 30 minutes for someone to come home. Then I realized I'm in the car. I can drive to where my wheelchair is. It took me 30 minutes to figure that out. So not the sharpest tool in the shed some days. So it is good to see somebody transfer into a car.
I will say, if you're looking at going into a car or something, try lots. Before I bought this one, I was looking at buying something new or used that wasn't even modified yet, and just see if you can even get in. I must have tried 40 cars on a couple different car lots, and different things prevented me. So that's, you can't have your mind set on what you're going to get at first. You got to just kind of try things. And then to answer Greg's question, I do seat belt kind of my chair in the passenger seat. I just wrap it around it, and it prevents it from going into the floor of the dash.
Great, thank you. And everyone keep looking at the chat box, because Steve from Kersey and some other people are answering some of the questions as we go. So there's some good information in there. So our next video is Billy. And I don't know if Bill is on the call.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Glad you could be here. So do you want to just tell us how long you've been driving, tell us about your vehicle and why you got it, and maybe a little bit about your modification?
Sure. Well, I touched on it a little bit in the video, but I got my van in 2000, and I got it from a gentleman that had MS, and unfortunately he got to the point where he could no longer really drive his van. But he had already gone through a lot of the effort to do the conversion, so the door was already in. I like that joke right there, drive your eyes shut. So he already did the conversion of the door and the lift, and there was a conversion for underneath the driver's seat. However, the driver's seat just went forward and back and swiveled 90 degrees. But for me to drive it, I always need to transfer to a lower level, so we had to make it a 6-way seat base. So that was really the only conversion that I did, and then adding some hand controls, and then I was really up and running. Now I drive a Volkswagen van, and I mean, Volkswagen vans are very stereotypical for breaking down. I've lost track of how many times I've ridden on the back of a tow truck, and I've also lost track of how many times I've had wheelchair like issues in terms of like the door and the seat base and everything. But it's old equipment, but the van works absolutely perfect for me because it's a wheelchair. I have the lift in more of like a minivan size vehicle, so it fits in perfectly to our condo garage. So, and it's a beat up van, which has some character to it. So that's really it. So from there, I'd say just kick off the video. I'm Billy, and I drive a Volkswagen van. Now this van behind us, this thing has been pieced together or glued back together more times than I can really remember. And it's both with mechanically as a van, because it is a beat up van, but also with the wheelchair lift and the driver's seat too. So first off, let me show you how to get into the van. So here we go. So there's two knobs back here, one to make the door open up, and then two to make the lift go up and down. So the top one's to make the lift or the door open all the way up. It's kind of slow. So it is an older lift. It doesn't have, can you ride with me? It is an older lift. It doesn't have all the sensors and stuff, so you got to be a little bit careful, I suppose, but I guess that's the same that goes with any sort of lift. So anyway, once you're on there, there is a switch right here that makes it go up. Push that down. And here we are. So can you come on? So we're going to go into the van. So inside the van, there's a couple of things. We have the seat right here. This is a 6-way seat, which means it goes forward and back. It goes up and down. And it also swivels 90 degrees. So we're wrestling with the toddler here too. So it goes up and down, forward and back, and it also swivels 90 degrees. Oh man, the gremlins in my van. Okay, so anyway, so the van itself, when you look at this, you look at the framework, we have had a lot of maintenance issues, like a lot of hydraulic leaks. Typically what happens is the hydraulic will leak down here in this area, which is where the motor is, but also we've broken hoses in kind of the left-hand side too. So I've had puddles of hydraulic fluid all over the place. Typically it's just like a repair at like the junction point where the hose is connecting with the other metal. Right here, there is a switch. This switch right here allows the, it doesn't make the lift go up and down, but once the lift is up, when you hit this switch, it'll stow the lift. So the lift will come up and then the door will come closed. We have had issues where there's power problems. So the connectivity of the power isn't really connecting anymore, and it could be in the switch itself, or it could be down lower, kind of the area where the whole power harness is connecting the rest of the actual stuff. So for me to transfer, I get myself in a 90-degree position to the driver's seat. I move this forward. So my wheelchair, typically when I make the transfer, the wheels kind of push away. So I do have on my wheelchair some caster pin locks. So I do make sure to lock that in place, just so when I'm doing my transfer, the wheelchair doesn't push away from the chair. So I put my hands behind my hips to move my hips forward.
My hips?
Come here.
No,
Wait for the spasms to kind of simmer. And then, are you going to count to 3 for me?
2.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. And there's the transfer. So my seat, you'll notice that as I was talking about, there's that assembly underneath the seat. So in order to do that, you really have to, you're building up underneath the seat itself. Now, in most cars, this isn't a problem. However, in the Volkswagen van, it is something that we had to take into consideration because the way it works is the seat sits directly on top of the wheel well. So as you cut in to make that space, you're actually cutting in to the clearance of where the wheel is. So here we are, and then with the switches, it's a matter of turning it 90 degrees.
Oh, bye.
And then moving forward. Cool. So just a couple really quick things. So yeah, the seat base, you are right on the, you are right over the wheel well. So that is kind of something unique with the van. Originally, when we kind of started to sort that out, we had to redo the or the base, the hardware structure that allowed the seat base to connect to. We had to redo that a couple times. And then the last step was I actually put in stiffer springs into the van, which prevented the wheel assembly to go up high enough so you actually hit that assembly. So it's definitely like a custom deal, and I really tip my hat to Kersey. I mean, you guys have fixed me so many times, and I just really appreciate it. And in the comments, I noticed a number of you guys asking about shoes. I was wearing my shoes, as was my kiddo. So.
Okay. Yeah, he has the coolest shoes, you guys. Maybe you can put your website in the comments, Billy, so people can check out your cool shoes.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing. All right. Next, we have a really quick video, but it's a really super cool vehicle, a PT Cruiser, and Jayne Ahrens is going to talk about that.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, so let's see. Should I talk about my driving history first?
Yeah, if you could. Thank you for reminding me just how long you've been driving, about your vehicle, why you got it, and a little bit about the modification.
Okay, I was injured in 1981, and I pretty much taught myself how to drive when I got out of rehab. I got some hand controls donated to me by the Paralyzed Veterans Association. They were the twist grip kind of motorcycle ones, and I bought a big old land barge car because I'd heard that you needed to get a big car with 2 doors. So it was a 71 Impala, and kind of drove that into the ground, I guess. And since then, I've had quite a few vehicles. I had a Toyota pickup truck for a while, and I've also, let's see, probably in about 2000, I got a van, a minivan, and I've had a couple of those. That was because, you know, shoulder issues and stuff. And then, and what I have now is this PT Cruiser that I bought used from someone, and it was already all decked out with, you know, the modifications and the hand controls and everything. And when I saw it, I just knew I wanted it. I had to have it, just because it was so unique and fun to drive. It was fun to go, you know, back to driving a car. Let's see. Well, I guess you can show the video now.
Oh, yep.
That was actually taken a few years ago when I was in Eastern Washington. You can't really see, there is a driver's seat and a passenger seat, but we removed the passenger seat so I could just get in there and transfer over to the driver's seat and have the wheelchair next to me. Although I didn't really have, you know, I don't really have a seatbelt for it, so I kind of get a little nervous about it moving around, but it really hasn't moved around that much. So let me see if there's any questions. Yes, I did buy it from Jeanette. Meg was asking me that. Yeah, Jeanette, I can't remember her last name, but she was a former Miss Wheelchair Washington. And I think she bought it already set up too, so I don't really know the history of it. And,
Brantley, yeah, she is what Meg said. Yeah, I think that's her married name now. So, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, keep writing questions in the chat box if you have anything else. You know, for Jayne, it is a really super cool, kind of different vehicle.
People stop. Kids love it, and they, you know, what did the kids say? What's the name of the Transformer? I can't remember, but one of the you know, some kid pointed at it and, you know, thought it was something from the Transformer movie, and people have stopped and taken videos and pictures of it and stuff. It's kind of neat.
Are you thinking about selling it?
I am thinking about selling it, so if anybody's interested. It is a 2002, but it's in really good shape. It only has 43,000 something miles on it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can, you know, share some contact information or people, if they're interested, you know, they can ask in the chat box, and I can make sure you, you know, you get the information.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, Jayne.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Okay, I forgot to put my video up before. Sorry about that. So our next video is Jeremy, and Jeremy's trying to log in right now, I guess, from what I just saw. So he was running a little bit late, evidently. So should we go ahead and play the video, and then he can tell us about it afterward?
Hey guys, hey, I'm gonna do a quick little video of how my truck works and the seating system that I have. It's the Bruno Valet with Bruno crane system that I put my chair in the back. So here it goes. Hey everybody. And that's how I do it. Nothing fast about it, but it's pretty sweet. Nice little ride. Don't have to use a minivan, so I love it.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. That was a great video. It's nice to see different types of, you know, modifications and adaptive equipment. Thanks for joining us. Would you be able to just tell us how long you've been driving, anything else you want to say about the vehicle and why you got it, or about the modifications?
Hey, yeah. Hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. Affordable house. But I started driving 15 years ago. This is my third vehicle that I've had adapted. Before this, I had a lowered Silverado. It was on airbags. It was pretty fun. But this is kind of my dream truck. So I got the Bruno adaptive seat put on 7 years ago now. And then had the crane put in the back. It's just opened everything up for me. So, yeah, it's only thing bad about it, I think, is that in the rain, it's really wet.
Yeah, I bet. That's the one thing about living in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll watch the chat here and see. Steve said something about there being a 2019 GMC that has the same type of lift. So yeah, we'll keep watching. Jeremy, did you say how long you've been driving?
Yeah, 15 years now.
15 years. Okay, that's great. Thank you. And those are some cool tats you got. So yeah, you're rocking those tats. So thank you. And yeah, we'll keep watching the chat box and see if anybody else has questions. Okay.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Well.
All right. So the next video we have is Lori, and we don't see her in as a participant right now. So I think we're just going to go ahead and watch the video. But if you have any questions for Lori, please type them in the chat box.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lori Hanson. This is my 2013 Toyota Camry. And this is my car topper made by Braun. It's connected to my battery through this cable, and I have a control inside my car. So we're going to transfer inside, and I use a board, transfer board. My chair folds in half, and it needs to be like that for me to be able to use this, which is kind of why there's not too many fans, but it worked for me because when I first got it, I was single and had no children, and really didn't have any plans of that. I was really young, so I have one on my older car that now belongs to my son, and it still works. Okay, so now I have to disassemble my wheelchair. And I have a new back on my chair, which is a little bit different than what I'm used to, but it definitely helps with my posture. Take a second to come along. Oh, there we go. Still learning how to use it. All right, so now that I have that off, I'm going to fold up the chair. And we're going to put on the brake so that it doesn't run away from me. And then it's connected, like I said, to my battery. And this is the controller. So this is where all the magic happens. All right. So we're going to show you how it works. All right, so here we go. This is a more economical option as far as I'm concerned. This whole unit cost me $6,600, and I bought one back in 20 years ago, okay? 20 years ago, and it was $3,300, and it still works. The only difference is that you have to have a chair that folds in half. So those of you that use the rigid chairs, this is not an option. So as you can see, it's super easy. And again, as far as I'm concerned, economical for those of you who aren't looking for a huge vehicle and something that will get you from point A to point B. And you can put it on just about any vehicle you want. Hope this clears anything up.
All right, thanks, Lori.
My name is
Oops, we accidentally hit it again. Yeah, Lori, are you on the call? I know you were having some technical difficulties.
Yes, I am on the call.
Oh, yay! All right, thank you. I've never really seen how one of those car toppers work, so that was really cool to see it. So, anything else you want to tell us? How long you've been driving, and anything more about your vehicle and about the modifications?
Yeah, I was hurt in 1989 is when I had my injury, and while I was in rehab, I got my driver's license that year, so I was 19 years old. Yeah, I've been driving ever since. And that is the only adaptive equipment besides, of course, my hand controls that I've used, and I love it. It's my little workhorse. Like I said, the one that I bought 20 years prior still works.
Wow, that's great. You know, it's really nice to hear about different options as far as, you know, thank you for sharing about the financial part of it too, because everything is really expensive. So it's nice to hear some different options, and cool to see that it works well for you and it doesn't kill your, you know, your shoulders or your bank account. So that's great.
Yes.
It's good to see different transfer boards too and how people transfer. I admire you for being brave enough to show a transfer.
Oh, thanks. They're not pretty, but you know, they're necessary.
Absolutely. I had a wooden transfer board, and then I started getting a lot of spasms, and my dad pulled out like a 6-inch or 3-inch, I don't know, a big long splinter out of the back of my leg. So now I have a really lightweight plastic cutting board material sliding board. I don't use it very often, but yeah, so just a little word of caution. So we will ask people if you have any questions for Lori to please put it in the chat box like the other ones, and that would be great. Thank you again, Lori. Glad you're able to join us.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. The next one is Julie Grant. And Julie actually, she referred us to videos through Adapt Solutions. And so we have a couple videos. Julie wasn't able to join us tonight, but she sent us some comments. She said, the Speedy lift can be installed in a minivan, may need a power seat instead of the transfer board seat I have. Examples are shown on their website. With the Mazda 5, which is no longer being made, anyone over 5'10" might have some issues getting in, unless you have a particularly narrow chair. Mine is 16 inches, and the seat has to be pretty far forward to allow for room for the chair. I had a man over 6 feet try, and he couldn't get his legs in, but he was a higher level injury, so that's a factor as well. And if you have any questions for Lori, for Julie, just let me know and I'll make sure that she gets your questions and she will answer them. So please, just any questions about this, put it in the chat box and I'll make sure Julie gets them. So I guess we can go ahead and roll the video. Next, we have James, and I don't know if James is here, but I think James was the one that was in the hospital. Is that right, Marty? So he has two different short videos, and we will go ahead and play them.
This is James Gronwald. He's a C6 quad. Hey James, was that a custom deal you made there with that little board?
Yeah, it was actually kind of customized from one that was sold on the internet about 35 years ago.
Oh.
And I don't think you can still get them, but me and my dad just kept modifying it to fit each vehicle. So this is about the third or fourth vehicle it's been on. Truck's been lowered about 13 inches. So I formerly had it on air ride, but air ride, you know, anything you have that's electronic can disappoint you. So I just recently had a new coils and springs put on the front, and then a lowering kit put on the back, and dropped it down that far.
Okay.
So it's a little higher, but not too bad.
Okay, there we go. That's his transfer out. And by the way, his hand controls are your basic Monarch MPS Monarch controls. And it looks like he has a quad cuff on there. He's now putting his footrest on. And we'll reverse it here in a little bit. Here we got James again. He's going to now get in his Ford F-150 pickup. And again, he said it's lowered significantly, about 13 inches, James, you say?
About 16.
16 inches.
I think, yeah.
He at one time had airbags, like you said. James, did you learn this in rehab?
Well, not really. I mean, you have to remember I was in rehab almost 46 years ago. So.
46 years ago. Imagine that.
You know, so, but, you know, I had a conventional car back then, so didn't really need a lot. Oh, whoops, dropped my keys.
I think we've all done a time or two.
I did learn throwing the keys in the cup holder in rehab.
Oh.
We used to have to practice throwing things in a garbage can for 15 minutes a day. So you'd be a better aim. That's how long ago I was in rehab. Yeah, most of the stuff, these adaptations like strap and all that other stuff is stuff that my dad and I invented when he was alive.
Yeah.
So, or used, you know what I mean, modified.
Yep. We call it assistive technology.
Mm-hmm. So, same with this, which was formerly a croquet mallet.
Oh. How about that?
Got my hand in there too deep. But anyway. Yeah, I always have, as you know, you always have everybody that wants to help you put your chair in.
Yep.
You know, I didn't quite throw it over far enough, but I'll move it over like this.
I used to tell him I was in a hurry.
Yeah, well, it's probably the truth. You know, the problem is if you have somebody else put it in, it's never aligned properly and falls over when you take it out.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the James Gronewald technique.
Thanks, Marty.
Here we got James again. He's going to now get...
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else you want to add about that at all? Is he the one that's in the hospital right now?
No, can you hear me, Elaine?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's Brian Bocot's in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And Brian has a similar setup as I do with the pickup, but he has a Yukon. That was James, and obviously he's he's been at it a while, and he has figured some things out as time has gone on. So does anybody have any questions that I could answer? I don't think James is on the call, but I know him pretty well. He's my neighbor, and I can answer any questions.
And if you don't like to be put on the spot, you can put it in the chat box too. Marty's not too scary though, just a little bit. All right. Again, it's nice to see different modifications, you know, and somebody said, you know, it's great to see, people coming up with, these modifications themselves, because, necessity is the mother of invention, and all of us has made up our own things, to make them accessible. So, because we've had to. So I say to younger people, before the ADA, there were curb cuts, and they're like, what do you mean there are no curb cuts? And I'm like, when I was injured in 82, there were no curb cuts. So that was part of rehab, learning to go up and down a curb. So our next video is Roland Dickens, and I've known Roland since 7th grade, and I won't say what year that was, but it was at Lockburn Junior High. And my accident was in 82, and his accident was 7 years after that. So when we met, neither one of us were in wheelchairs, and then we both are now. So stop being a copycat, Roland. And he was having some audio problems, so I'm not sure if it's working yet now or not. But we'll go ahead and watch this video, and he can chime in at the end if he's able to.
Okay.
Go to the car, okay, Dad?
All right. Thanks, Roland. You know, there are a lot of people that choose to drive in their chair, especially, you know, if they're a quad, and it would, you know, be a lot to transfer. So that is another good thing about a wheelchair van, is being able to drive from your chair. I'm a para. I'm a T7 level para, which is kind of bra line down. Sorry, guys. Women know what I'm talking about. Bra line down is my paralysis. And so I transfer just because it's hard for me to sit in my chair for long periods of time. That's why I have a Roho cushion on my seat, so I can transfer over to it and just get out of my chair for a while. But Roland has a great setup, you know, where he can just drive right from his chair. And I know, like I said, several people do that. So that's great. If you have any questions for Roland, please put them in the chat box. Again, I know I keep saying that, but he'll be able to answer any questions that you have, because I know it's a completely different experience depending if you're a quad or a para, or might have a different type of disability. And so I work with a gal who had a stroke at a very young age, and she drives in a completely different way because half of her body is paralyzed. Even though she's able to stand up and walk, you know, she can only, you know, use one side of her body. So we're all different with our disabilities, and things can change over time too. So we used to not live this long, you know, post-injury. So our shoulders get worn out, and we might not be able to transfer, you know, as well as we used to, and might have to change, you know, so change to something different. So it's great that we have people, you know, like Jennifer Fox, who can evaluate us, and Kersey Mobility, who can make recommendations. Hey, Steve, or somebody from Kersey, somebody had asked about that bar that you can flip down so you don't fall. It's like a safety bar so you don't fall out of your vehicle. Is that something that can be added on? I don't know if you can answer that right now or put it in the chat box. That would be great. Our next video is Sarah Neely, and Sarah is a friend of mine that I love dearly, and she has never wanted a wheelchair van, and she drives a car, and she's going to show us how that works. But Sarah, can you tell us how long you've been driving, a little bit about your vehicle and why you got it, and explain about your modification? Thanks.
I've been driving since 1994. And I obviously have a car with hand controls, and hopefully I don't need a van anytime soon. But all my friends have one, and I know how convenient it is. But just trying to take advantage of my young livelihood until my arms fail out and I have to get a van. So yeah, I love my car, and hopefully I could use it for a few more years.
Go.
Oh.
Good throw.
I think this is the most challenging part, is trying to put my feet on the pedals. That's the part that I have trouble the most. So it takes a couple times to do that.
Thanks, Sarah. That was great. So it's good to see, you know, what it takes to transfer, and you have a beautiful vehicle, so I can understand why you want to keep it. So if anybody has any questions for Sarah, please write them again in the chat box. And, you know, cars are a personal choice. So, you know, if that works for you, then, you know, you've got to do what works. So thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it very much.
Sure, no problem.
So if you can stay on, we'll see if people have questions for you. The next one we have is Aaron. Aaron, are you on there now?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us how long you've been driving, a little bit about your vehicle and why you got it, and a bit about your modification? I know you've got the cool Corvette going on.
So let's see, I've been driving since I was 14, but paralyzed at 26. So I've been driving with hand controls since then. Actually, for close to 17 years, I drove with Pedal Master, the portable detachable hand controls. They clamp on. You don't have to modify your vehicle. Those are my daily driving hand controls. But then I started, this is my fourth Corvette, third since I've been injured. I started going on the racetrack so I could enjoy the car a little bit more fully in a safe environment, and found that the hand controls were unsafe. Guido Simplex came on the market, and when they first came, they were about $15,000, and that was a little too steep for where my income level was. They've definitely come down in price since then quite a bit. My last set was around $6,500, I believe. So sports cars, I've always been into sports cars. The first, when I was first injured, I was very depressed thinking about vehicle choices until I realized I could still drive sports cars and get in and out. So I definitely plan on continuing to drive sports cars as long as I can. I do have a backup Tahoe, but my Corvette is my daily driver. I typically put 9,000 to 10,000 miles a year on it.
Okay, great. This is definitely a different type of vehicle, and nice to know that you can still, you know, have a cool car and, you know, be able to modify it. So thanks, Aaron. Let's go ahead and watch your video.
Sounds good.
All right. A couple requests have come in asking for seeing me transferring into the car, stowing the chair, bringing the chair back out and then transferring back into the chair. People looking at the feasibility of buying a car like this, so I wanted to show that today. So I do put a towel down covering the side of the car, just trying to protect it a little bit from the wheelchair. You're going to get some scuffs, but some people have a little bit of tone, that's why I'm going a little bit slower. And me, my preferred driving position is having my ankles crossed. That way, if there are spasms, they're more controlled than having my legs straight when it's more likely to spasm. All right. So the cushion, if no one's riding with me, usually goes right there. If someone is riding with me, I usually take off my backpack before I get in, but I forgot. Side guards come off next. All right, so I'm in the car, just started taking my wheelchair apart, just pulled off my side guards. And since this car, the driver's seat can't go back and fold back, you have to fold the passenger seat forward to be able to get the wheelchair in. Each wheelchair is a little bit different, but you can find the sweet spot where they balance themselves. So you only have to have one hand on it. Now, the tires go all the way in the very back passenger compartment area. And this is part of the reason I have the towel, to keep from scratching the side of the car. Second wheel goes on top of the first wheel all the way in the back. So this is the area that's a little bit tighter to get the wheelchair into the back. Now, wheelchair spins 90 degrees. And what I like about this now is the wheelchair is fairly well captivated there with the front caster and the foot plate where it won't really move. So it stays put very well, especially if you're going to do a little more spirited driving. And then seat goes, passenger can now hop in the car, getting the chair out, pretty much everything just in reverse.
Drop the whole thing, sync, okay.
Just fold the seat forward, grab the side guards, pivot the chair. I've only had this wheelchair a short while, so getting used to it. It stows a little bit different than my tie light, but still stows well. Chair goes sideways. It's captivated, now it won't move. First side guard on. First wheel on. Pivot the wheelchair. Second side guard on. This is where I typically put my cushion in. I can reach it better. And I pivot. Second wheel on. And finally, backpack back on the chair. Now we're ready to get out. Biggest thing with the transfer out of the car, getting up over that side bolster and then putting your head down in this space here so you can get a good transfer. The head goes down, butt comes up, makes it easy to get back into your chair. All right, just showing transferring in and out of the car and my hand controls. So typically pulling up where I've got space for my knees. I use a towel there to cover up the door sill to try to minimize scratches. Down is easy, gravity's your friend. One leg at a time. Get the first leg in, the second leg comes in, crosses over. Gives me a more stable position, and for those with spasticity also reduces the chance my legs will spasm. So that was me transferring in the car. Left my keys in the backpack. So the hand controls are made by Guido Simplex. What I love about these is they finally give me an opportunity to drive with two hands on the steering wheel. I'm gonna get my dog out of the way. Guido Simplex hand controls, nice thing about them is it's got a quick disconnect. All you have to do is slide it into the slots. That's one of the modifications they make. Push the button down, slide it in. So this is my gas pedal now. There is about an inch of play on it. It's got a little gear in there that measures the amount of space that the hand control is pushed forward. Sends an electronic signal to give the car the amount of gas that I've squeezed on. So brake has to be on for the hand controls to work, or for the car to start. So the nice thing about this also is your brake lever gets pushed forward. There is a thumb latch to where you can lock the brake, to where you can then take your hand off the wheel. Great at stoplights. Hand controls, so you just squeeze for throttle, very sensitive. And if you look over here, one of the other things they install on it is there is an on-off switch, to where if I take this off and hit this off switch, the gas pedal is activated down below. When this switch, your hand controls work, the gas pedal does not, so if your foot bumps it, it won't be an issue. Another nice feature is this bottom button that they install, and that is a 50% switch. So when you're getting used to it, this car has about 650 horsepower. And like I said, the hand controls are fairly sensitive. If you're in a parking lot or something like that, you can flip this switch, and if you go full throttle, it's still only 50%, so it's way less sensitive. Personally, after I got used to the car, the first couple of hours of driving it, I have not used that, but it is a nice feature to have, especially when someone is first learning to use this hand control system. Hand control gets removed. Very important thing that I learned, take the hand control gas pedal off before getting your wheelchair out. If you put pressure on it, it can actually mess up the gears on your gas control. And yes, dog rides nicely over here as well. Left foot. Notice I've turned my hips. Make it a little easier on my hip to get the left leg out, right leg out. Using the steering wheel and the wheelchair to get up over this nice lip that holds you in the car nicely. Place the right leg flat. And notice my head goes down in the space here to get out. And there you have it. Hope that was helpful to anybody thinking about a car like this or this style of hand control system. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'd be glad to answer any. Thank you.
I've got a 2016 Corvette now. I still have my 2008 Corvette that I have Guido Simplex hand controls on as well. And that vehicle is for sale. I have been trying to sell it for a while, but I didn't want to take the hand controls out. I would really like to see it go to someone that could utilize the hand controls. And I will be, so on YouTube, it's Aaron Z51 is where that video came from. I will be posting the other videos there as well. Jayne had asked a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do I squeeze the steering wheel to drive? It's got a ring that is mounted there, and it's on springs, and it's got a little piezo. Basically, yes, it's just spring loaded, and you squeeze on the second ring for the throttle, where you can drive with both hands on the steering wheel. And the vehicle I'm selling is a 2008 Corvette that's yellow as well, with the Guido Simplex hand controls. I will type the link to my username on YouTube. I see someone asked that.
That is wonderful. Yeah, it is a really cool vehicle, so we appreciate it. Anybody who's selling or knows of people selling vehicles, we'd love to hear about it. So thanks a lot, Aaron. Okay, our final presentation is not a video, but it is pictures. And Barry Long, who also drives a very cool car, has some pictures of how he transfers and puts his chair in. And Barry, you got to tell the story about driving with a broomstick. We'd all love to hear that too. So here's the famous Barry Long.
Yeah. So I crashed my motorcycle back in 1991 and almost didn't get my dream car. So right when I got out of the hospital, I bought a 1968 Mustang and put Monarch controls in it, or the Monarch hand controls, and have been driving it as my daily driver ever since. So I do just an easy, quick transfer. You know, luckily for me, the Mustang is probably one of the most accessible cars ever made in terms of being able to get your wheelchair in and out. The doors open up 90 degrees, so I can pull my wheelchair right up adjacent to the seat, and then I jump in, take the tires off, and throw the tires on the floor in front of the front seat, and then the wheelchair sits next to me in the passenger seat. And then I can belt it down if I need to, though it usually sits in there pretty tight. And then the same thing when I get out, do a quick transfer from the seat. And luckily, again, the Mustang height is just perfect, that I can transfer straight across without having to use a sliding board in any way, shape, or form. So it works really well. If I'm with somebody else, one of the things that I know, I think, Rob, you were talking about, making sure that the car fits for you. So the car is more important to me than the wheelchair was. So I have to make sure, and Marty knows this, that my wheelchairs actually are the right size to fit between my fat stomach and the steering wheel, so I can pull them across my lap. So every time I get a new chair, I've got to make sure that it fits, across my lap. And then third, if I've got 4 people in the car, or 3, then the other thing that I need to make sure my wheelchair is the right length so it fits right in the trunk. And it's funny, if you look at the back of my car, you see a whole bunch of little dents in the middle of the trunk where people have not quite put it in right and then slammed the trunk and dented my car, but that's fine. I've been driving it for 30 years now. And then, Greg, actually, I wanted to comment on your comment of driving your Porsche and putting it in parking spots. I'm almost entertained now at the looks, the faces, and the growls that I get when I pull the Mustang into a handicap spot when they don't see my plates that have the little wheelchair guy on them. So it's a super fun car. I drive it every single day. I just actually realized that in about 20 miles, 200 miles, I'll hit 400,000 miles on this car.
Wow.
So, and then for your story, Elaine, just because you asked, I did a round the world trip several years ago, and when I got to Australia, I found out they drove on the wrong side of the road. So we went to a hardware store and bought a table leg and bolted a shoe to the end of it. And I drove all over Australia and all over Europe with a shoe tied to the end of a table leg. And what's funny is I still use that about 3 times a week to drive my wife's Toyota Sequoia, because it doesn't have hand controls because she won't let me put them in her car. So
Yes, sorry, table leg. I was thinking it was a broomstick.
No, it's a table leg.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I drive this car every single day. Actually, if you've seen it in the back of the car, somebody asked me earlier, I actually have a small trailer hitch on it. And I put a trailer hitch on the back of a 1968 Mustang because my racing gear and my bike and my skis, they're all really long but light. And I didn't want to get a truck, so I bought a little trailer that I pull with my Mustang and tow my gear around. So that's why I have a trailer hitch on the back.
Well, that's great. So it looks like you have a fan club there, and also people flipping you some you-know-what in the chat box there, Barry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Looks like you're well known. So, yeah, everyone knows Barry. Everyone knows Barry and Marty.
None of it's true.
Yeah.
I blame Marty.
Yeah, blame Marty. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
you bet.
And yeah, so please take a look at the chat box. Put any questions you have in there, and that's great. It's nice to see different types of vehicles that people drive and the different modifications. So we have a resource list. If you see on our last slide here, it's got resources. Meg Paulson was nice enough to put this together. So it has a lot of great resources about adaptive driving. And I know a couple of people put their contact information in the chat box if you have any questions for them or comments. So Steve from Kersey has put a lot of really good information, and he answered about that bar that you can put in, not the mini bar, but the bar that keeps you safe from falling out of your vehicle. So no drinking and driving. So yeah, it's really good to see all this stuff. Thank you everyone for participating. I also put together a resource page on financing a vehicle. I know Northwest Access Fund has vehicle loans. I believe it's up to $40,000, and because I know these aren't cheap to do these modifications. So again, it's nice to see the different vehicles that people, again, they have to come up with their own inventions. So I've really enjoyed seeing some of those, and definitely learned a lot. Kenny, do you want to talk about the next forum? Well, it's actually the Here and Now meetup.
Yeah, I can jump in. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for attending as well, and again, Elaine for hosting, and Rob for doing all the technical work, and just all the folks at Kersey for jumping on and being such a valuable resource, as well as Jennifer Fox. I just appreciate you guys. Yeah, we are putting together a virtual meetup for probably mid-September that we are still finalizing some of the topics, but it's going to be getting people back to work and maybe some home modifications as well. And yeah, and then in November we are looking at a wheelchair maintenance forum as well, so you guys will be able to look forward to that. And yeah, as always, for our paralysis community, we've got our online meetings. If you go to our calendar, hereandnowproject.org/calendar, you can see all of our support meetings as well as the rest of our events. And yeah, so yeah, with that, we will make sure to send out all the resource lists to all attendees, and yeah, we're going to put all that stuff online as well so that people can just find all those resources. So